want to thank the National Academies for hosting today, and then Mike and the whole ALN community for bringing us all together in this environment. Today, I'll be focusing on an agency perspective on deferred maintenance, so specifically with the Bureau of Reclamation. The Bureau of Reclamation is part of the Department of the Interior. So today I'll be just going through a background on the Bureau. Is anybody not familiar with the Bureau? How many people are familiar with the Bureau? Oh, that's great. That's great. And then talk about Reclamation's deferred maintenance policy and program, and then talk about next steps in moving forward. So our mission is to manage, develop, protect water and related resources in an environmentally, economically sound manner in the interest of the American public. For infrastructure, we have about 300 reservoirs, almost 600 dams across the Western United States, almost 11,000 miles of canals. This is interesting. So we've been reporting historically over the last few decades, 8,000 miles of canals. And through the asset management program, the first thing we really want to do is really have a really solid inventory of what we own and where it's located. So over the last 3 years, we've been undergoing this project to really get a good inventory of what we own and where it's located. And that number has gone from 8,000 miles of canals up to almost 11,000 miles of canals. We're pretty confident in that number, but I think we're still missing a few miles in there, but a much better number than 8,000 miles. We are the second largest contributor to the U.S. Treasury. Does anybody know what number one is? It's the IRS. But so we're number two, believe it or not. And we obviously contribute a lot of money to the economy through hydropower as well as irrigation. So we're the second largest producer of hydropower in the United States, second to the Army Corps of Engineers. And we generate enough power for to power about 4 million homes across the West. Irrigation is what we're really known for. So folks that had lettuce out for lunch today, likely that was federal water that grew that lettuce. Most of the vegetables and fruits you're enjoying right now are grown with reclamation water. We have quite the recreation program as well. We have 230 rec areas, almost 600 campgrounds, quite a few trails and boat ramps, and significant economic contributor, about $3 billion to the U.S. economy. The Bureau, again, our footprint is solely in the Western United States. We have 6 regions. We report 5 regions. We've combined the Arkansas, Rio Grande, Texas Gulf region with the Missouri Basin region. We don't have many assets down there, so it's more efficient for us to combine those 2 regions. So you'll see 6 regions up here, but effectively we have 5. We love this graphic. This shows the Bureau of Reclamation, what everybody does within the agency. A line of sight, as Mike likes to say, across the organization. So we've been displaying this graphic at all of our regional offices, as well as our DC office and our headquarters in Denver, Colorado. So deferred maintenance. This is the SFAS, the Standard Federal Accounting Standard, definition of deferred maintenance. And this is what we use. We have a very pure definition of deferred maintenance at the Bureau. So the requirements for deferred maintenance are here. So you'll see the first 2 are SFAS, or the Federal Accounting Standards for Deferred Maintenance. And we rely solely on those standards. And then going down that list, you'll see a DOI. So that's our Department Manual Requirements on Deferred Maintenance, which tiers off of the Federal Accounting Standards on Deferred Maintenance. And then we develop our own requirements based upon the department's requirements. So we have a reclamation manual. We have quite a few requirement documents that we call the reclamation manual, and deferred maintenance is one of those. And again, it works its way up back to the standard federal accounting standards. And again, we use that pure definition from SFAS. So our sources of deferred maintenance, we have 6 different sources that we mine to come up with our deferred maintenance list. The first is, whoops. Wrong way. The first is our FPMS work orders. It's an SAP program that people are probably familiar with here. We develop our budgets on a 3-year cycle, like most federal agencies. So we have what people are putting in their notebooks from the field of what they want 3 years out. If that's not accomplished in time, that becomes deferred maintenance. Our operation maintenance recommendations. So we have quite a robust internal controls program. We do quite a few reviews on our facilities. If we go out to a facility and find a deficiency, it becomes a recommendation. The field is required to put in a schedule of when that recommendation will be complete, as well as a budget. If that date is missed, it becomes deferred maintenance. Karma, that's our IBM Maximo system. Again, we have maintenance scheduled in IBM Maximo or Karma system. And if we have planned maintenance that is missed, it becomes deferred maintenance. Management's discretion, that's another one. So if a field office or a regional office, area office determines that there's an activity that should have been performed that was not performed, they have the discretion to add that to our deferred maintenance list as well. We have a few other random maintenance systems out there we're trying to get control of and roll those into other systems, but they are out there right now running a little rogue. We do mine those as well, and those become deferred maintenance as well. This is, I'm hoping, going to be obsolete within the next year or two. We're undergoing a transformation of our IBM Maximo system, a wholesale replacement of that system. We're calling that Karma 2.0, and that should be in place within the next year or two. So we have 6 different reasons. So if a field office or an engineer, somebody wants to say, I've got a new deferred maintenance activity, they have to enter a reason on why it's deferred maintenance. We require that. So it could be a facility restriction, like an operating restriction at a facility, like if we have a safety of dams issue and we can't fill the reservoir all the way up, so we can't perform certain maintenance activities, that could be deferred maintenance. Funding, that's the classic example for deferred maintenance, right? If funding's not available. That's another reason. Weather. We have quite a few deferred maintenance activities that are dependent on the right weather. And if the weather is not appropriate, that could become deferred maintenance. Insufficient expertise. If we can't find that specialized experience to perform the maintenance, we have very specialized equipment that could become deferred maintenance as well. So we have that as another categorization. A lack of priority. We see that as well. And I've got a few examples coming up here of another activity came up that's more important to the facility. They feel like it's more risk adverse to take on the other activity. That could be a reason for deferred maintenance. And then we have another category as well. So our process for deferred maintenance is to identify, so we find a problem that needs to be fixed. We create a maintenance work order for that activity. It's scheduled for maintenance. And then for some reason or another, it's deferred. And that's the purest definition of deferred maintenance. It was an activity that was planned. For some reason or other, it was deferred. So it meets the definition of deferred maintenance. And then we enter into a database. And we're tracking those all in one single database at the current time. And then we develop reporting. And we have quarterly reports, we have annual reports that we send out to the field. And we keep a very close eye on deferred maintenance. And then we track those recommendations, that deferred maintenance, until it's complete. So with this data, we've been getting this great data, and we've really moved to just one true database. We used to have dozens of databases. Now we have pretty much one single database where we're tracking all of our deferred maintenance. So with that great data, we're creating like really great dashboards and great visuals. That's, I think, been really effective with the field and getting leadership's attention, even just using like green dots, red dots, yellow dots. You know, green is good, red is bad. If a leader sees red, they're going to start asking questions. That's how we get attention of leadership, that we have an issue. So we can slice and dice this data any way we want to. Again, it took a long time to get here, but now with this one database, we have one way of entering data, and we feel like we've got really good data. And again, we can slice and dice it any way that we want to get the right information to the right people at the right time. So here's our deferred maintenance over since 2014, so about the last 10 years that we've been tracking it. So relatively, we have got a $1 billion budget a year, roughly. So our deferred maintenance in 2023 was about $200 million. Is that ideal? Well, I don't think it's that bad. Like somebody mentioned earlier, deferred maintenance should not be considered a bad thing. I think it's healthy to have some deferred maintenance on your books. But you can see some peaks here. In 2017, we developed, you see a big peak here in 2000, whoops. I keep hitting the wrong button. 2017, there's a bump here, $614 million. And that's when we developed our requirements document, and we really started a standard way of collecting deferred maintenance. So through that requirements document, we started collecting a lot better data. We were expecting a big jump in this time during COVID, and we really didn't see it. It went up, went down from a money standpoint, but the number of activities increased. But we were really expecting more deferred maintenance on our books. We kept folks working in the field through COVID, and it was actually a good opportunity to address a lot of maintenance activities during that time. So since then, it's been holding pretty steady between 179 million, about $200 million. And then again, here up here, you can see the reasons why we had deferred maintenance. And this is from last year. So I'm going to just mention a couple of reasons. Deferred maintenance seems to have a bad connotation associated with it. And we've got a lot of really good examples of why we have deferred maintenance. This was specifically brought up in an earlier slide from GAO. So this is the Folsom Dam Temperature Control Device, the TCD. And what these do is basically these are gates that we can lower down, and they basically go into the intake of the power system. So we can draw water from lower down the reservoir or higher up in the reservoir to control the temperature of the water that's being released from the dam. And it creates excellent fisheries down here. We have these installed at quite of our facilities, and just blue ribbon trout fisheries below these facilities, because we can really nail the temperature of the water right below the dam. So like was mentioned by GAO, the dam is undergoing a dam raise. We're increasing the size of the dam, the height of the dam, I believe by 10 or 12 feet, and these need to be replaced. So it was a planned maintenance activity that we're going to replace these and rehab these gates here. And then this dam raise came about, and why would we go ahead and replace these 10 years before we need to replace them anyways, do that dam raise? So that's the reason why that's deferred maintenance, and it's got a really good explanation. But you see it's a $5 million cost, and it was planned maintenance that we skipped. But again, it's a good reason. We wouldn't want to invest federal dollars into replacing these gates 10 years before they need to be replaced. So Hoover, people have probably heard the news about Hoover Dam and the reservoir elevation behind the dam. It's been making a lot of national news. So we have spillway gates at all of our dams, including Hoover. So the spillway gates at Hoover Dam are located right here on the edge of the facility. And how these work is if the reservoir elevation gets to a certain elevation, we can fluctuate the height of the reservoir with these spillway gates. Well, the water level, as you can see right here, this is a pretty recent picture. It's pretty low, and we don't anticipate the reservoir getting to this elevation anytime in the very near future. So we had planned maintenance to go ahead and recoat these gates. You can see the corrosion on the spillway gates right here, these drum gates. They're in bad shape. They need to be rehabbed before the reservoir elevation gets back up. But it's a $21 million project right now, and why would we invest federal dollars into a project that essentially we can go in and rehab these gates and recoat them, and then we'll need to do it again in 20 years. And if the reservoir elevation does not get back up to this elevation, really, is that a waste of $20 million? So another good, we made the management decision to go ahead and defer maintenance on these gates, even though it is needed, as you can see. So just another good reason for deferred maintenance. So we have a multitude of these kind of examples across the Bureau. So just a summary, again, a healthy maintenance budget should have deferred maintenance. I would be really skeptical if anybody showed me a maintenance budget that had 0 deferred maintenance on it. I'd be asking the question on why. I'm not sure if that would actually be accurate. And again, deferred maintenance is not, it shouldn't be it has a bad connotation, it seems right now, but it shouldn't. In a lot of areas, deferred maintenance is good. I think it is healthy for any maintenance budget. Again, risk needs to be incorporated. So if you have a risky project that's deferred maintenance, obviously that's something you're going to want to address immediately. But again, you should be looking at risk when you're deferring projects. Money does not, a lot of people feel like money is the solution to deferred maintenance. That's not true. I think in certain cases it probably is, but for the large part, the funding is there, and it's just prioritizing activities. And what we do is a risk-based approach on how we budget our maintenance activities. And then finally, just moving from schedule-based maintenance to reliability-centered maintenance. This is how we get deferred maintenance, right? We got a project, we plan, we skip that date for some reason or another. Well, maybe that's not the best way to be doing maintenance. Maybe looking at something more like reliability-centered maintenance, making sure your equipment's reliable and resilient versus schedule-based maintenance. I think a good analogy here is your car and getting an oil change. I mean, with standard conventional oil, folks, I think the rule of thumb is every 3,000 miles changing your oil. Does your oil really need to be changed at 3,000 miles? What about adding like a sensor onto your, just to look at the degradation of the oil versus changing every 3,000 miles? There's a lot of opportunity to save money there and create efficiencies. So again, that's the direction we want to head, is more towards reliability-centered maintenance and away from scheduled or time-based maintenance. So that's our presentation and our perspective from Reclamation on deferred maintenance.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that. It's reassuring to see healthy federal agency activities. And I wonder if you could give us an update on the spending, the infrastructure bill, and how it impacted your ability to do your deferred maintenance. It seemed like you had a system in place already, but did the information that you present free up the funds that allowed you to be more comfortable with what's going on?
Yes. No, thanks, Mike. So we can't thank Congress enough. They provided $3.2 billion to the Bureau to address aging infrastructure issues across reclamation as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And they matched that amount. So we provided Congress a kind of a splashy, just a 2-page report on the needs at the Bureau over a 5-year horizon as well as a 30-year horizon. And our 5-year horizon was $3.2 billion. Congress took that report and provided us $3.2 billion to address our repair needs. So can't thank Congress enough. That was really a boon, once in a generation funding boost for the Bureau. We're very happy with that money. We're putting it to really good use. The idea was, again, that was our 5-year repair needs. So Congress wanted us to spend that money down within 5 years. And we're in our 3rd year right now, and we're planning on providing about $800 million out to the field in the next couple of months.
And then what you had laid out there, it made it clear to me. And I wonder how much you're engaging with other agencies to help them or provide guidance. I know you used to engage in a asset management roundtable. Can you comment on that at all?
Yes, so we have what's called the Federal Asset Management Working Group. It's a conglomerate of Reclamation, the Army Corps of Engineers, Western Area Power Administration, or WAPA, Bonneville Power Administration, or BPA, and we've recently rolled in Tennessee Valley Authority as well.
Are others open to join that, or are your assets similar enough that that's what you feel is important?
Asset management is asset management. So I think it's irrespective of what kind of assets you own. So the State Department has engaged with us, and they have attended one of our meetings.
Okay, so for the executives that are attending, they can reach out to you and,
Yes.
and talk about that. Do you
Definitely.
physically get together? Do you have web meetings?
Yes, we have. We try to have quarterly meetings. Our next meeting is coming up here in February at Hoover Dam in Nevada.
And then I really liked the recommendations in the GAO report. They just made sense to me. Can you make any comments on recommendations specifically for you or in general? I'm not sure if you're able to do that, but if you are.
You know, we were interviewed by GAO as part of the report. We were included in the report, and the recommendations came to DOI and not to the Bureau specifically. The recommendations make a lot of sense. I think the Bureau is complying with all its recommendations right now. There are certain things that I think, we're not perfect, that we can do better job at, but I think we're doing a really good job right now with our deferred maintenance portfolio and investing in the right assets at the right time with the right amount of money.
Excellent.